So right to the point, you're looking for a big TV. And yes, there'll be new TVs to think about as time goes on, but you want one now. So you need to know what the best TV is for your hard-earned money, and I can help. I have charts and pictures, and I'll tell you exactly which TVs to buy at the different price points for big TVs. Let's get into it. What's up? I'm B the Installer, and big TVs are my thing. Buying, installing, reviewing, etc. So this video is specifically about what big TVs to buy right now for a big sporting event like the Super Bowl, or just because you're looking at 2021 models that may be on sale this time. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and set the bell to all to get notified of my videos. The channel is almost at 100,000 subscribers, and I'd really be happy and appreciative to have you jump on board. So first, what features do you really need for your big TV to watch sports versus gaming versus movie watching and all that? Not every TV needs to be blinding bright in HDR if you want to watch cable or sports, nor do you need all the gaming features. But if you do anticipate splitting time between sports and movies, or gaming and cable, or even thinking of if you watch TV during the day or the night, all those things are important to think about when deciding which TV might be best for you. But if you're on a budget, then many times just getting a big screen can resolve a lot of the common concerns. And the same sort of considerations can be made when thinking about an OLED TV versus a QLED TV. A quick rundown on this is that most TVs are LED backlit TVs, especially most inexpensive TVs. And even many of the reasonably priced LED TVs can get fairly bright for watching cable TV without all the bells and whistles. But a lot of the cheapest TVs you may come across don't always look amazing for watching movies or have other drawbacks like quality control. Then there are some other more expensive Sony LED or top Samsung QLED TVs that look great for a lot of content, but then you get into the debate of the value of those versus OLED TVs, which there aren't really any cheap OLED TVs. But because OLED offers individual control to each pixel on the TV, you can have perfectly dark area right next to a really bright and vibrant area, creating incredible contrast, all with great processing and upscaling. But these high-end OLED TVs come at a cost and with some minor drawbacks. While I do prefer OLED TVs, and I think they're the best in most situations if you can afford it, they do sometimes suffer in super bright rooms when watching cable TV because the full screen brightness is only a fraction of the top QLED TVs. But in the averagely lit or dark room, or if much of your viewing is at night, OLED is tough to pass up. Then there's screen reflectivity, sound quality, connectivity, etc. that you can consider. But if you need all that, I have like 100 videos on many of these TVs you can reference. Here, I'm just going to try to let you know the biggest benefits and possible drawbacks of the TVs I recommend. So let's get into the lower price TVs and decide how to best spend a smaller budget. I actually helped a friend through this maze about a month ago, and it wasn't easy. I was getting asked about TVs from Costco, like the LG 9070 or Samsung A80J in 75-inch and others that were in the $1,000 to $1,500 price range. And I have to say, as a TV reviewer, this is probably the hardest category for me because I have the least amount of experience with the lower end TVs. But as I said, most of them will be pretty good for just watching your typical cable and sports, but sometimes the more basic Samsung or LG TVs aren't quite as good as people may think. So while I think many people will be happy enough with your entry-level Samsung or LG, you really should have a look at something like the 75-inch Hisense U6G at $899. And maybe you're like, Hisense? Many clients and viewers have more questions when you bring up a brand that isn't Sony, Samsung, or LG. But at $899 for a 75-inch TV and only $599 for a 65-inch, you really can't beat that price point for what you're getting. The Hisense U6G has decent Google operating system, has a brighter and better picture quality than most TVs anywhere near this price range. So even though you may not know much about Hisense, or it's not a top 2 or 3 brand by recognition, you can't really debate the value when you compare it to similarly priced TVs from Samsung and LG. But if you're really not looking to get a Hisense TV no matter what I or anyone else says, then you could also consider the TCL 5 series. This is also under $1,000 for a 75-inch or less for a 65-inch, but according to ratings.com, it underperforms the Hisense by a small margin and costs a bit more. So for me, the great value of the Hisense would likely still be my choice. But most would agree that this 5 series TCL is better than a similarly priced Samsung, Sony, or LG at the value end of the spectrum because TCL and Hisense specialize in making good TVs in the value category. But if I have not swayed you away from the AU7000 75-inch or similar LG, just don't overthink it. They're huge value TVs, so just go for it. Then there are a lot of TVs in this $1,500 to $2,400 price range and a lot of places to buy these TVs. But one of the best mid-range TVs at the 85-inch size is the Sony X85J that is discounted to $1,800. This is the TV that started out pricey like most Sonys at $3,200. And while I couldn't recommend it at that price, I can at $1,800. Of course, 85-inch is huge, and unlike some cheaper and even more expensive TVs, the X85J has great native contrast, creating a beautiful picture without having local dimming zones. So you don't have to worry about the smaller areas of the screen lighting up randomly because the processor of the TV can't control the lighting and dimming zones, which can be common with TVs trying to straddle the line of mid-tier but with premium features. It's a case of less is more, and at $1,800 you'd be a fool not to consider this X85J. So under $2,000 for 85-inch, the X85J from Sony. If the max size you can fit is 75-inch and you want a great Sony, then the X90J may be even a better deal, as it's a bit brighter and has a pretty good dimming control, as I just talked about, which would be around $1,600 for a 75-inch. But the X90J doesn't come in the 85-inch. Both will be pretty solid in your averagely lit room, and most people will be quite happy. But if you do have some unavoidable light coming in all day, then you may want to opt for a TV that can handle reflections better. And again, if you must have an LG TV, for example, the QN90 may be a good choice for you. Gaming features, solid OS, and scores right around where these Sonys are. But the 75-inch is $2,000 and the 86-inch is $3,000. So that brings me up into the second highest tier, into that $2,500 to $3,500 range. And there are some really nice options, and I'm going to try to hit both QLED and OLED. First, we have the issue of 75 or 85-inch LED TV versus the 77 OLED TV. And I believe that the OLEDs are size 77-inch because of the glass that they're cut from, but the 77-inch OLED versus 85-inch QLED has been a tough call for a couple of years now. And I'll try to help by just saying that if you have a super bright room, like a very nice house we were in recently installing the 77-inch Samsung 8K QN90A, you should likely choose a brighter TV, and thus there are some good LED options. Likely the most popular and well-regarded QLED in the USA is the QN90A by Samsung. This is very similar to the QN95A in Europe, but we don't get the One Connect box. The QN90A is as bright as it gets for a TV, has very good Tizen OS software with many apps, great anti-reflective properties to help reject reflections, and is one of the best picks in the category of under $3,500 at the current price of $32.99 for the 85-inch and only $25.99 for the 75-inch. That 85-inch for $32.99 is a really good price point. And if you had to ask me on the spot if I think it's worth it to go from that X85J at $17.99 up to the $32.99 for this QN90A, I would say yes. If you want the TV to really perform in all types of content, especially HDR, movies, and gaming. But if you're just watching sports and TV and the room isn't overly bright, then the average person should just stay with the lower price X85J. And if you're looking to save a little bit more money on the top Samsung QN90A, the QN85A in the 85-inch size is actually almost the same TV as the QN90A and is right at $3,000. So you get a 10% discount, and there are very minimal differences. But that's just the 85-inch version. All other sizes of the QN85A are IPS or ADS panels that show more bleeding of light. So for 75 or 65-inch, go with the QN90A now that it's discounted. And the Sony X95J is also a great choice for LED. It's not quite as strong as the QN90A in some points like peak brightness or darkroom performance, but it looks to have better color accuracy and has Dolby Vision where the Samsung doesn't, along with the Google TV OS versus the Tizen of the software. And weirdly enough, the 65-inch and 75-inch versions are less expensive than the top Samsung 4K, while the 85 is currently $500 more than the Samsung 85. So for me, the 85-inch is going to the Samsung QN90A. But now if we jump over to OLED TVs, two of my most recommended TVs are the LG C1 and the Sony A80J OLED TVs. Tons of people have been looking at buying one of these TVs all year, and more or less what I say in my comparison video, which you should definitely check out, is that the Sony may be slightly better for your everyday TV and movie watching because of its processing power and upscaling with better sound quality, but the LG definitely has the top tier gaming specs. So you have to decide if you're a TV and gamer or TV and movie watcher. And if you do some of all of it, I don't think you'll be disappointed with either TV. And to make it harder, both 77-inch models are $2,900 right now. Same price, both great TVs. Only the LG C1 has an 83-inch version, but that is $5,000, so it's on a different tier for just 8 inches larger in size. And one 8K TV in this price range that you should consider is the Samsung QN90A at 75 inch. If you have a super bright room, as I said before, you should consider this or the QN90A. I don't think that the 8K is needed for the small amount of YouTube video content that currently exists, but the 8K TV does have the One Connect box that can help you mount this TV flush to the wall and give you a super clean look with metallic edging. So it would be my go-to 8K for this price point. But in all honesty, if you're gonna go for the 8K beast, then I would just say go get the QN90A from Samsung as the top 8K TV at $5,500 for the 85 inch. And yeah, that's quite expensive. Extremely bright with literally no bezel and the same One Connect box. It was $9,000 at launch and now just $5,500. But if you order it from Samsung.com, there may be delay in shipping at the time of this video. As for the Sony 8K Z9J, I just can't recommend it for $8,000 for the 85 inch when it underperformed relative to the Samsung Q900A. After seeing it in person, I would likely opt for the Samsung. Or if you really want my best pick for overall TV, regardless of the price, well, under like $10,000, the 83-inch Sony A90J is king. I love it. I have it right here, right behind me and in the living room. It's amazing for all content, solid acoustic surface speakers, a heatsink to help keep it bright, and just really a high quality TV. And though it's super expensive, it's discounted to $6,000 from the initial $8,000 it started at. So consider that or the Samsung QN90A as the top big TVs, period. And if you're in the San Diego area, this one right behind me is for sale. It's calibrated, great quality, barely used. Stop the FOMO, a great TV reviewer and newsman, in fact, FOMO'd into the A90J himself. Hey, no one's immune from FOMOing into a purchase, not even Stop the FOMO. But to his credit, he loves the TV, but it's a bit too big for his studio, and so it's literally just sitting here, only used for these videos and on sale. So message me on Instagram if you want an even better deal, but you must be local to San Diego. And the LG G1 77-inch Gallery Series is another great OLED, but just too expensive to recommend at 77-inch when the C1 and the Sony A80J are $800 less, unless you need the flush wall mount look of this LG G1. And if you end up waiting, or maybe you decide to watch the big game somewhere else, then there are a bunch of really nice TVs coming out in 2022, and I'll be reviewing them, especially the big ones. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. So let me know if you're going to wait, or will you pull the trigger on one of these models that I've mentioned, or maybe the one that I missed? Let me know in the comments. Please do smash the like button, consider subscribing, and check out one of the installation videos, perhaps the 8K Samsung one here, so you can be the installer.